Hey guys, Brian delivers you the goods here. I'm actually returning to you for a surprising video. This is a CD collection video 24 that I'm going to be talking about, which CDs I didn't get to mention or whatever. Not sure if I mentioned some of them already, but basically, yeah, I'm going to discuss what CDs I might, because it's been a while since I've done a CD collection video. Like months, honestly. I just took a break from it because at the time I wasn't getting any CDs. But yeah, I'll let you know what I'm gonna talk about for each CD and what songs I like from it. So let's dive into this video. Now, the first one, of course, is an artist that I like and have my criticisms about, which is Taylor Swift with her Fearless Taylor's version. Um, I do want to own the red Taylor's version, but right now I'm gonna have to wait because it's a little pricey what they're charging. It's a 2 CD kind of thing. To be honest, I never really tested it out. Which I do have to test it out. This opens too, so yeah. And that's for the second part, I believe. There's 2 discs for it, so it's pretty cool. But yeah, that's the first one I got. Fearless is a good track. 15 is solid. Love Story, I always used to make fun of that fucking song. Um, when I was in high school and all that. So it was fun to make fun of it in high school, I guess you could say. But still, it's a 27 track album, but it is pretty lengthy. It's almost 2 hours. So you're in for a long listen of a record. But the first one I mentioned was Taylor's version for Fearless. Alright, next album. I don't know if I mentioned this in my previous videos, but it's for The Offspring, Let the Bad Times Roll. And yes, I know it has a lot of bad criticism about this album, but I personally liked it. I found a lot to like about this album, even though it's got a lot of hate. This Is Not Utopia is pretty catchy. I really like that song, in my opinion, of course. Let the Bad Times Roll was pretty, kind of cringy, but with the one lyric that I couldn't stand behind, I don't want to mention what the lyric is, but it's at I believe it's the second or third verse of the song, and the song tends to get a little unbearable to listen to. So I don't know. Behind Your Walls was good. Army of One was good. Breaking These Bones was good. Coming For You is a good song, but it probably shouldn't have been on this album, honestly. But hey, We Never Have Sex Anymore is my least favorite. In the Hall of the Mountain King, that was a pretty fast song for what they were trying to do. It's been done many times, this song. It's a classic song, but they made it into a punk rock song, and it didn't do so bad. Um, the Opioid Diaries was pretty good, and Hassan Chop was one of my personal favorites. So it's not a very long album, but yeah, the second album I mentioned was The Offspring with Let the Bad Times Roll. It came out April 16th of 2021. And now to the next album. Um, next album has a bit of criticism about it, but I owned it because I found it to be decent, and that's 21 Pilots Scaled and Icy. Um, Personally, I find it to be decent. It's not the best record from them, but it's something that they tried pulling off last year with their album, this album, and Saturday was the worst song on the album. Don't know why it became a single and all that, but it wasn't that good of a single. It was cringe, honestly, so yeah, it's grown on me a bit more, Saturday has, but not to the extent where I really love it. Good Day was alright. Choker was fine. I think Shy Away is the best song on the album. And Redecorate was pretty good. No Chances was fine. Formidable, I have my criticisms about it. Bounce Man is pretty weak of a song. But still, the third album I mentioned was Scaled and Icy by 21 Pilots. I actually paid a lot of money for this album, honestly. And probably don't know if I'm going to keep this album, honestly. Uh, Next album is a metalcore band, which I really love this band. Beartooth with Below. This came out last year. Very enjoyable album from start to finish. The only songs I didn't like was So Fed Up, or Fed Up, I meant to say, and Skin. Those were the only two songs that I just don't know if I can get behind and say they're perfect songs. Because they're not the best songs, but they're solid. Solid tracks. But Caleb's Shomo's vocals and his scream vocals in this album is really good. So I highly recommend you buy this album. It's definitely worth it. And the fourth album I mentioned was Beartooth Below. There are songs I like from it, like Phantom Pain, No Return, Dominate, Below, The Past is Dead, Devastation, Hell of It, I Won't Give It Up, and the last riff was a banger to close this album. So the fourth album I mentioned was Beartooth Below. Alright, the next album is Rise Against with Endgame. It is an older album, and it's got a few cracks on it, the case itself. But yeah, I had to clean the CD, honestly, because it wasn't really that clean when I got it. But still, this album worked. It took a little bit for me to clean it, but it worked to an extent, I guess you could say. The one album that I do have that I didn't get to finish the album was Foo Fighters, um, All My Life, or whatever the album was called. But still, it was the only album that couldn't play the last song and finish it, and I was a little disappointed in that. I bought it from a certain seller on Amazon. So, yeah, this is a 2011 album, so it's 11 years old, this album, but it was a really good Rise Against album, so definitely get Endgame for Rise Against. Um, Next album is by Daughtry, Dearly Beloved, and that's the back of it, of course. Sorry, I'm showing my computer screen for a second. It has an extra track on this because it's the Walmart edition. I bought the Walmart version of this album, which they don't really cuss in their songs, so I I actually really was surprised with this album. This was better than I expected. It's better than that Cage to Rattle album, because now I have my criticisms about that album, and not good ones. World on Fire was pretty solid. Heavy as the Crown. And I think it got repetitive with what going to the chorus sometimes, but Changes Are Coming was a good song. I think Chris Daughtry's vocals in this whole album surprised me, and in a good way. I was like, damn, he's really hitting it with his vocals. Because it's really hard to sing his vocals, honestly. But still, I enjoyed the album for what it went for. And definitely get your hands on Daughtry Dearly Beloved. It's definitely worth it. I had to pay like $10 for it at Walmart, so it wasn't that bad. So, yeah, I got it like back in September, October, I believe. So, yeah, and the sixth album I mentioned was Daughtry Dearly Beloved. Alright, next is an older album. much older album. It's from '96, I believe. That's for Metallica Load. I got my hands on this album, and I have other Metallica albums. I might have shown you guys my other Metallica albums, but I do need to get the next album, Reload, which has the Unforgiven 2 on it, which is my favorite. Memory Remains, I don't know if I like that. Until It Sleeps is probably the only song I know from this album. The other songs are pretty solid. I gave this a decent or an average rating of a 7.5, which this is an average album. I would definitely have it in your collection. So, yeah, Metallica Load and Until It Sleeps was pretty good. Alright, the next album I got back in October, which is for Starset Horizons. I really love this album. Icarus being my personal favorite song. Otherworldly has grown to be a liking to me. I've grown a liking to the song, I mean to say. There's other songs like Symbiotic, This Endless Endeavor was a pretty awesome song. The Breach was great. Earthrise was pretty good. Leaving This World Behind was good. De-Evolution was amazing. Annihilated Love, Alchemy, Disappear, great songs for sure. I think my least favorite would have to be Tunnel Vision. Not sure if I like that, but Something Wicked, good way to close the album, in my opinion at least. But Infected was pretty good too. So Dreamcatcher did feel like a bonus track, and so did Tunnel Vision. But they were solid songs, so yeah, the seventh, I think sixth or seventh album, maybe eighth, I mentioned. Yeah, I think eighth is Starset Horizons. Definitely get a copy of this album if you haven't got it yet, because it's worth it. Alright, the next album is an EP for Seether, the Purgatory EP. I got my hands on this. It was pretty cheap, so paid like $7 for this album, or this extended play. But I never really tested it out, but it's in good condition, that's for sure. But still, there's only 5 songs on this EP. This EP, of course. Wasteland, What Would You Do, Will It Ever End, Feast or Famine, which Feast or Famine was pretty good. Sean Morgan's screams in it are great. So, Wasteland alternate version was pretty solid. So, yeah, definitely get your hands on this if you haven't got a copy for it yet. And finally, the last album I'm going to mention for this video. The one I rated a 5.5 out of 10, or maybe a 5 out of 10. That's One More Light by Linkin Park. I wanted to own it in my discography due to me finding some songs that I could appreciate, but also because he killed himself like a few years ago. Passed away a few years ago, I should have said. Please forgive me if I said it wrong. He took his own life like almost 5 years ago, which it's still sad to this day. May Chester Bennington rest in peace. But because he was a very talented singer, but still, the only songs I could come back to are Battle Symphony, Sharp Edges. I guess Nobody Can Save Me, which is it's an alright song, and Talking to Myself was alright, so was Good Goodbye. And One More Light, the title track, of course. The other songs like Halfway Ride and Sorry for Now were very disappointing. But still, I'd still give the album the same rating I gave it. So yeah, Linkin Park, One More Light, the last album I mentioned. I'm gonna have to end this video right here. So thank you for watching. I'll see you in my next video very soon.